Hi. This week, both of our major parties opposed the motion to declare a climate emergency amidst the New South Wales and Queensland bushfires. As a young Australian, I'm truly terrified of what lies ahead. Seemingly, the government is not listening to the majority of Australians who want more action taken on climate change. So what can this majority possibly do to make our governments listen?
Eva Cox, start with you.
It's a really hard one because they're just trying to ignore the whole fact that it's there. You know, we've been sliding around it in the various things. It's been part of knocking off particular governments. We've had all of these different things about the environment, but nobody's really prepared to address it. And because you've got a very solid group of people who, for all sorts of reasons, don't want to acknowledge it, you know, we have an environmental problem. They always pop up in appropriate moments with another study that they found that said, you know, this is happening 40,000 years ago, whatever it is. And it's very difficult, but I think part of the problem, and I'll go back briefly to what I was talking about before, is that we actually need to get people behind us. And I think what's happening with, A, the environmental movement and some of this stuff is that if people get too scared, they switch off. And if people don't trust other people, they're not prepared to sort of give up things in order to improve the environment. So I think we've got to get to the point where people don't feel as disillusioned with the system as they do now, because until we do that, we're not going to get the serious movements of being able to say, yes, we do need to do something about the climate, but to do that, we actually have to trust other people want to do it as well, and we have to trust our government. So it's part of that whole process, because I think far too many people at the moment are just switching off. It's too hard. They do the doona thing, crawl back into bed, pull the doona over their head and hope it'll be gone away when they get back up afterwards.
I'm going to go to Madeline. I'd like to put the question to you like this. If Labor does what it's now debating, and that's to lower its carbon emissions targets, what do you think will happen to your core support, particularly young voters like our questioner?
Yeah, I don't think young voters are necessarily our core support. I wish more of them were, that's for sure.
So you don't need to worry about them then?
No, I do need to worry. Of course, we need to worry about everyone. Like, that's being facetious again, Tony.
Making a point. Really.
Yeah, no, I get it. The action on climate change is critically important. I mean, I can't believe there aren't more people marching on the streets, quite frankly, to try and prompt the government to do more on this. And I have a lot of respect, actually, for the people that do go and participate in some of these protests. And when school children go and do that, I don't have any objection to that. They're young people. They will inherit this earth and this country, and they've got every right to go and protest, you know, peacefully about things of great concern to them.
So what will happen, those people, will they disrespect the Labor Party if you lower your carbon emissions targets, therefore breaking a promise that you gave before, and actually a long-term promise? Our
policies are under review and we are going to look at them, and we have to, because the suite of policies we had, including that one, didn't work out for us in the election. And this is just... I think, and you know, my caucus colleagues think, it's a rational response to an election loss. We have to review everything.
So, an election loss, a perception that climate change didn't work for you.
Not at all.
Means
not
you
at
chuck
all.
the principles out.
No. I think we've got to put them into a narrative in a much better fashion that we did, and how climate change and action on that and our emissions reduction targets works into that has to figure into it. And we're not going to jump into this too quickly because of pressure from outside. We as a Labor caucus and a movement have to think about this deeply, respecting the wishes of people like Jessica, and know the future they want to inherit should be better than what it is now. And I appreciate...
Let's hear from someone who's sort of left
the
scene now. I mean, you can look at it with some dispassion.
No, look, you're right. I mean, without being part of a kind of broken record here, place you'd start with is where the donations are coming from. Right? Like, a mining magnate, right, Clive Palmer, spent $56 million to shit on Bill Shorten. Can I say that on the ABC?
You just did, sir.
And in part cost an election, right? You know, and you look at where the money comes from and the lobbying and the influence and this and that. I think we would have very different climate policies in this country if you actually started from the premise of removing a lot of that money from politics.
So just quickly on the question that I asked Madeline, how do you feel about the prospect of Labor changing its carbon emissions targets because it didn't work for them in the last election?
I think the review process is right. I think the outcome that they should move to at the end of the review, my personal view, it's always right to review things. You lost an election, we shouldn't have lost, we lost. Ask yourself why. My personal view is that we didn't lose the election, or Labor didn't lose the election because people didn't think that they weren't, that they believed too much in their policies. I actually think it was the right policy, and I think they should stick with it.
OK, James, it's obviously aimed at both sides of politics, and clearly there's a sense you're getting from our young question, and we'll go to... By the way, let me just put it to you. I mean, do you see both sides of politics as lacking in this area?
Oh, 100% I do. I'm not going to hide it. Love Labor, always have, and I'm more leaning towards Greens. I do think what you're saying, Sam, about the election, I don't think it's Labor's policy that lost the election. I think Liberal actually had a short and sharp campaign, and it got through to so many people. But I'm telling you, I was devastated on election day, and all of my friends as well, who are all, want something good to come of the climate one day.
So what do you? So these guys won government. What do you want to hear from them?
From Liberal?
Yep.
Anything.
Nothing, to be honest.
Okay. All right, sorry.